Welcome back to Faywatch. I'm Dina. I'm here with my co-hosts Rachel and Will, and we are gathered here today to recap chapters 23 to 30 of Serpent in the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. We have a couple chapters of our girl Ori and our boy Rain getting closer physically, maybe a little bit emotionally, maybe a tiny bit sexually. We'll see, but it's very fun. We meet them again when they are training together, aka Will, cover your ears. They're killing vampires.
Committing vampire felonies left and right. Yeah.
I think because I just pictured this as like Buffy, I'm just going to continue thinking that they're doing something great.
Buying into Carissa's propaganda about, the moral value of a vampire life.
Summary justice. Yeah.
Yeah.
No due process.
Yeah, I'm just easily persuaded. Or maybe I'm just morally gray like all the best fantasy characters.
Wow.
Could be.
Anyway, so we're about 1.5 paragraphs in when we get reference to Rain's wall of a body, in case it was not clear already.
Yep.
And at first, they are tripping all over each other, trying to work together like an awkward dance of sorts is what I'm picturing. But surprise, surprise, after a few days of being super awkward, they're working really well together. And she's observing him and learning how he works. And while she originally thought he was all brute strength with that wall of a body, what she realizes is that he's actually super strategic and smart, and he's using his strength and his speed and his magic in a super calculated way. And to our discussion before, she realizes that it's all a performance. She brings this up to him, and he perhaps deflects, as some might say, and turns it back on her and talks about why she's hiding her magic. This was confusing to me because he says that he knows that she threw him out of the window completely by accident. He's like, yeah, I know you're hiding your magic because you weren't actually hiding it. You just had no idea you could do that. But that was confusing to me because wasn't he like so pissy afterward about her lying to him? But maybe he was just pissy about something else.
I guess I took it that maybe in the interim he has deduced.
Like not in the moment, but then when he was off brooding.
During his reflection periods. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
His meditations.
Yeah. So she feels a bit weird about that because he's been observing her the same way that she's been observing him. And that makes her a little bit uncomfy.
The line is something like, I don't like being observed and I like being understood even less, which is, Dina and I were talking about this with my new friend and Dina's friend last night at a bar randomly about how when you're 24, 25, you're so confident that you have sort of figured out the world and that you are this like distinct, unique, whatever human being. And it just turns out no one is that, like, it's not that hard to understand anyone,
But she's very much in that phase of being like,
yeah, like I need to be complicated.
Right.
Because I'm unique and special.
Yeah. And then eventually you get so tired that you're like, no, I'm not. But
yeah.
she's still in that phase. We support her. She's girl bossing. She's complex. She's nuanced. We'll give her that. But yes, honey, you are observing him and he is also observing you. That doesn't work just one way. So then Araya and Misha and Rain are all training together in the apartment, and surprisingly to everyone, it's working really well. And Misha is so cute and so proud of them. And she just kind of like steps away and looks at them and is like, gods, look at you two. And is just so proud that they're both overcoming their emotional baggage to become friends and work together well, I guess.
Bit of a cringe fest. I would struggle being in that room.
What, just like training together? Or
she's just like, she's so sweet and earnest, but like sometimes it kind of steps over a line to a point where I'd be like, oh, like stop.
I feel like it's one of those things where it depends on the person. With her, I'm like, sweet child of the sun, like, sure, be earnest. But then sometimes other people do it and I'm like, oh my God, get me away from this immediately. But Misha I'll allow to be earnest. Training is going so well, aka training, murdering the vampires, as Will would say. It's going so well that Araya and Rain have nothing to do one night, and so they have to go to a bar and hang out. Of course, Araya does not want to do this at all. She is terrified. She does not want to be around the humans. She's really worried that he's going to go into some frenzy and she won't be able to save the humans. And he's laughing at her. He's like, "You're worried about my self-control? How sweet." He leaned close enough that I felt his words skitter over my cheek. I didn't know why I didn't move. I have plenty of self-control, Araya, he murmured. Don't you worry about me. Goosebumps rose on the back of my neck, yet the shiver that rolled over my flesh wasn't the familiar shiver of fear. That at least was a physical response I knew how to regulate. This startled me. My instinctual desire wasn't to back away, but to pull closer. I froze. My body didn't know how to react.
Wow.
It's scrumptious.
I love that this poor girl literally doesn't know how to feel anything but being afraid. And she's like, wait, I'm really turned on. What's happening?
I also just want to note, this is something Carissa really excels at.
Yes.
Mhm.
Describing the small little moments of physical and sexual attraction to someone. The word skitter was like,
Oh
oof.
my gosh.
Yeah, words skittering across a cheek.
Like, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Wow.
The goosebumps, the instinctual feeling to lean in. How do I deal with that? I loved this. I was super here for it. They finally go into the pub after their moment of being horny for each other. And Ryan notices how Rain changes when he walks into the pub. Again, another one of his kind of performances, and how good he is at essentially becoming human again. He changes his posture. He changes the way he's walking, and she sees him, almost appearing as a human. And she asks him if he misses it, humanity. And he says he misses the sun, which makes sense because she often walks in on him in the morning, letting the sun wash over his face, even though that should be very painful. We learn some things in the conversation that they have in the bar. Number one, we learn that Misha was also turned, which is duh. Of course she was. She's the most human vampire I've ever met in my life of all the vampires that I've met.
She's V-bubbly.
And they get into a conversation about the Kajari asking each other why they entered. It's like they're bonding, but they're also trying to
Probing.
probe and suss out information about each other. And Araya asks Rain why he entered the Kajari. He says, will end up being important. I have a lot of people depending on me. ... He says something like, never make deathbed promises, Araya. They always bite you in the ass. And she's like, oh, you mean family? Family's depending on you? And he goes, in a sense. And I exhausted all avenues.
Wow.
Notable that he is, perhaps not lying when he talks about why he's entering, but is certainly omitting some key details about who is depending on him.
Yeah. And being deliberately vague.
Yes.
Obfuscatory, if that's a word.
Then Rain says to Araya, again, flipping it back onto her, lest she ask him any more detailed questions. He's like, I know why you entered. At first, I wondered, why wouldn't you leave to go live among the humans? But then I realized that you don't see yourself as human at all, so you would never go do that. Rain is also confused now that he's in his deep analysis of Araya while they're drinking their beer. He's really confused about Vincent, to our points before, and why he would just have a moment
Me
of compassion
too, Rain.
and take in a rando human girl. The question on all of our minds, to give you some credit, Will, Rain is like, are you guys fucking? Because then I would totally get it.
Yeah, then it makes sense.
Right, then it would make sense. She is really grossed out by this. She's like, he is my father.
This conversation made me wonder, because the whole book is obviously from Araya's perspective.
Yeah.
But it must be true that all of vampire society is sort of a chatter about her and Vincent. And I wonder if there are, talk shows or podcasts, or he's president.
Mm-hmm.
And surely people are just sort of openly speculating all the time about what's up with this situation.
Right, but not too openly, because then Vincent probably would murder them.
Right.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
During this conversation, Araya now flips it back to him again because she's sick of him talking about how he thinks she's having sex with her dad. And she's like, and how many people are you about to kill to fulfill those responsibilities you talked about? Perhaps a bit of foreshadowing there, who's to say? She's like, you still took in a human stray. And he looks at her and is like, there's nothing stray about you.
Also, sorry, how many people are you willing to kill after they went to a bar, I believe, because they ran out of people to kill? They had emptied the streets of vampires.
Those were the bad people.
Right. Sorry.
No, it's a good point. They're bonding over, they're murdering, they're flirting, they're getting closer, they're sussing each other out.
They're bonding over their incoherent moral vision framework.
All of a sudden, there's an abrupt explosion. Their fun night off becomes something much darker. Araya and Rain run outside and see smoke rising from the distant moon palace. One of the towers is fully gone. Of course, the first thing they both think is that they need to find Misha. They need to get there quick, but they're far away. How could they possibly solve this problem? Oh, right. One of them has giant wings. So Rain needs to fly. Araya's like, I'm coming with you. So we're having this conversation about flying. We're in Araya's head. And she's like, it didn't sink in what exactly that meant. Not until Rain stepped closer, drew me into his arms, and scooped me up like I was nothing before I had time to react. Hold on, he said, voice low and so close to my ear that my skin shivered. I'm not coming back for you if you fall. My body seized, frozen by the sheer overwhelming proximity of him.
Wow. Wow.
I think shortly thereafter, he knows she's like a little bit scared. So his thumb like circles her back.
Oh my God. That is honestly one of my favorite moments.
And when you're flying, you always have to be right up in that person's ear, but like in a hot way. Yeah. It's good.
When she's talking to him, like she's on like his neck ear area. It's very, as we know from, tradition of
from our personal experiences being flown places.
I was a little upset that the first flying was in like such a non-sexy context because I feel, but like I guess it's like part of it. Like we have to wait until later to get like a sexier, like because it's still sexy, but like they're like, oh, is our friend dead? What's going on?
Right, and they needed to be forced to fly for the first time.
Yeah.
Because Araya is not going to be like, oh, sure, I'll just hop into your arms. It definitely needed to be a situation where it was like, this is life or death. But you're right. I loved this because once they get into the air, she's like having the time of her life and their bodies are really close. And then it's like she kind of remembers that their friend might be dead. And that this is actually a very serious situation. So they get there. The Moon Palace is a disaster. There's no longer any time for flirting because there are a lot of blue-white flames of night fire burning everywhere. It seems like a quarter of the city around the Moon Palace has been reduced to rubble. Araya in her head is like, this was a calculated attack. The Rashan, it had to be. Did it though? Seems like we're jumping to early conclusions here, but she thinks it was. They need to get Misha out. Their tower that they were in their lovely penthouse. Honestly, RIP, all that beautiful interior design because it is consumed by night fire.
Ugh.
The brocade up in flames, all that mahogany.
Yeah.
RIP.
Night fire, by the way, isn't hot like regular fire. It's not cold, but it instead withers flesh from the inside out and simply devours to the point that people caught in night fire are often found as piles of pristine bone, which does not seem like a good way to go for me. So they fly right into the apartment. Of course, good thing the window was broken. That's actually really helpful. And they're surrounded by night fire. They see a group of demons. I love that our girl, Araya, who, as we've discussed, is extremely observant in moments of crisis, looks at the demons and kind of immediately knows that they're nightborn demons and not bloodborne demons, which I'm like, okay, we don't really have time for you to be determining their genus and species right now, but she somehow knows this, and the three of the demons are surrounding Misha. Rain kills the demons with Asteris, the really powerful magic. Misha is a full disaster. There's blood everywhere. It says she's pretty much fully gutted. They hear cracks of the building falling apart. There's fire everywhere. It feels like everything's going to collapse. So Rain picks up Misha. He makes like he's going to carry both Misha and Araya out of there. Araya's like, absolutely not. That won't work. Take her, bring her down first, then come back for me. Be quick about it. Of course, at this moment, we're like, oh my God, is there enough time? Is he going to make it back? Who knows? He flies out of the window with Misha. She's alone. She's like, oops, that maybe was a bad idea because now I'm alone. A door breaks down with some kind of night fire explosion, which makes her like not be able to see. She feels like she's going to die. And then she can't see, but all of a sudden she can feel everything around her. And then 3 to 4 more demons are coming for her. Instead of dying, she roars and I guess shoots a bunch of magic from her hands. She has this moment where she feels super, super, super powerful. powerful. And then she like collapses and is in agony. Surprise, surprise. Wherein makes it back just in time, flies her out of the building. He's like, how the heck did you just do that? She kind of has no idea what she did, similar to how she used her magic before. And as they're flying away, Wherein is like, well, I guess your father has his war. He's been waiting for this for a long time. And Araya has this thought where she's like, nothing will ever be the same again. We're in the aftermath of the explosion, of the attack. And number one, the greenhouse is gone.
I am sad about the greenhouse. My favorite part.
I know.
Condolences, Will. That is hard for you. I know.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'm sorry.
You can't keep your cozy things in this kind of world.
Right. So 4 contestants died. Misha and several others are severely injured. And so these injured contestants put in requests for withdrawal from the competition to Neaxia.
Which, like, aside from Misha, our girl, who we all love and adore, net good, right?
Right. They're down like 4 to 8 people. This attack sets some things in motion. Number one being this war that Vincent wanted. So he addresses the whole House of Night from a balcony, and his vibe is like, I'm the king. I'm super powerful. Don't fuck with me. He's addressing his enemies. It says that magic painted his visage. I do not know how to say this word. Visage.
Yeah.
To the sky in ethereal strokes of light. It made me picture his face in the sky, like when the people in the Hunger Games
Yeah.
used to die.
No,
and
it was
I'm like,
very cinematic. I assume there was like a dark clouds, you know?
Yeah, maybe a little like
Kinda
lightning in the
atmospheric.
distance.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right. He's speaking to his enemies. He says, this is an act of war. More fallout from this attack. Jasmine shows up at the Moon Palace and summons Wherein.
She's just, I feel like a casual reader might have forgotten.
She's kind of his like general. She's very hot. She's summoning Wherein. Araya is like, you can't do that. His life belongs to Neaxia. She says contestants will be returned to the Night Palace with their lives, which does not seem like they're going to be returned with much else, honestly.
Not confidence inspiring.
Wherein says the Rashawn didn't do this. She's like, nobody is accusing you, even though it seems like that is exactly what is about to happen here. And Araya snaps at her, which, you know, is a moment for me where I was like, interesting, where your loyalties might now be lying after he's whispered into your ear a couple times, huh?
Just some stubble scratching on her ear, and that's all it takes.
Just weak in the knees.
Which, like, same, to be clear.
Relatable.
Yeah, honestly. Jasmine kind of gives that credit too, because she's like, listen, he's handsome.
He is hot.
He's hot. I get it, but probably better if he wasn't a rebel.
We're getting like Jasmine is like willing to do bad things to people and currently opposed, but Jasmine is giving me big sister energy.
Yes.
And I sort of wonder if a different world in which Araya could confide in Jasmine, she might learn, you know, she might avoid some things, some pain in life. Although one must live these things for oneself, I suppose.
It's true, one must.
Right. One other bit of information that we learn in this exchange is about Misha. Jasmine has a note from the minister, however we're saying it, and total shocker here. Quote unquote, Neaxia has rejected Misha's request for withdrawal from the tournament.
Which is like, I was like, kind of bold of you to put that one in after you were like, oh, I'm doing this blood oath and this death competition and my life belongs to you, but can I withdraw?
Right. Oh, sorry, I'm not going to be able to make that deadline. Like, what about next week?
Yeah.
Of course, they have a thing where it's like, obviously not Neaxia. It's a political thing, but Jasmine's like, no, it's Neaxia. And it's very obvious to everybody, both in that world and reading, that it is absolutely not Neaxia. Wherein gets taken away. Araya is taking care of Misha, and Araya has a tiny bit of medicine left. Hasn't healed her own burns yet, but decides to give the rest of the medicine to Misha to help her. So again, we are seeing where her loyalties and her priorities are shifting.
After the initial chaos of the disaster aftermath, Araya goes to meet Daddy Night King for the first time since his big sky speech. And he's doing his, his buttons are undone, showing his little air mark thing. He's neither cool nor collected. In fact, he is, quote, simmering with rage.
This only makes him seem hotter to me.
Oh, okay. Well, not to Araya because something in her, quote, recoiled at the sight of him.
Okay.
Vincent sort of plays into what Rain predicted his playbook would be. He's kind of immediately like, well, this was bad, but I have been trying to justify an invasion of the Rishon for a long time. And one silver lining here is I can probably do that now.
What is the point of him wanting to do that? Like, does he just want to kill a lot of them? He's already in power. Does he just want to make them even less in power?
It seems like the other half of the House of Night is constantly the greatest threat to your rule.
Right.
And actually, so we learned that very shortly because Araya, in the course of this conversation, is sort of walking through, oh, wow, if there's an ongoing war, he's going to be a target because this is what happens in Vampire Wars. You go for the heir and the heir's heirs and anyone who could potentially be an heir. We realize that it's not the way like a British monarchy works, in which if you extinguish the line, it's done. Nyaxia, kind of troll queen, will sort of bestow the power of the heir on a rando vamp.
I love that.
When she gets bored. And so there's a possibility that there is a Rishon heir out there. The implication being someone capable of challenging Vincent on a magic level. I mean, I will say I'm getting kind of skeptical of Vincent's alleged reasons for why he couldn't go find Araya's parents and family ahead of time.
Right.
Because it does seem like Nyaxia plays it pretty fast and loose with the rules. Yeah. But his whole point this whole time has been a very legalistic, well, unless I have like a valid justification under the Geneva Convention, I can't set foot there. Of this kingdom I rule, ?
Yeah, that's a question mark for me as well. Because the territory is within his...
Yeah, it's never, at least that I read, which doesn't mean it isn't explained, but I never have picked up.
Right. He says at some point that he can't even go into their territory because it would be an act of war, but he rules over them. So, yeah, basically, well, I agree. It feels like some things seem to be really written in stone and others seem to have extremely large loopholes, and who knows which is which.
Araya could maybe have benefited from the internet, Reddit, like another perspective on geopolitics, perhaps.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Vincent says, look, it is possible there's a new Rishon heir. However, once we're bonded via the Coriate process, we can go get the heir together. And now, once you also are powerful, we can invade together.
But she doesn't want to invade to genocide them. She wants to find her family. So it feels like there might be some conflicting interests here.
Okay, yes. But she also has this little aside where she's like, once I'm Coriate, I can finally be something. I can finally do something. And I just wanted to be like, BB, just wait until you're 30s. This ambition will be gone.
We all wanted to be something when we were 24.
No, you want to work like 20 hours a week. You want healthcare. You want vacation. You want your student loans to be forgiven and or paid off. And it like just becomes very clear to well or not even well-adjusted, just people who are aspiring to be well-adjusted, that anyone who's accomplished anything of substance or meaning in the world was deeply unwell on a personal mental health level.
Wow.
But she's in her early 20s.
Right. She doesn't know.
Girl boss, ambition.
She doesn't know yet.
McKinsey Teach for America phase. And she has to move through that the way we all did.
Yeah. She is in her McKinsey Teach America phase. Forsooth. Araya asks if he can help get Misha out of the competition.
I love this part.
Yeah, which like not the most savvy because Vincent is incredibly suspicious from the get-go. He goes, why do we care? What does it matter? And she briefly tries, she's like, well, if we're in the competition and she's hurt, then it'll be a liability for me. I don't care about her as a vampire or a person. I'm just looking out for myself. And Vincent responds, well, just kill her tonight. And I think she realizes she's fighting a losing battle here. So she says, okay.
Wait, I love this part because it's just like this poor girl hasn't had a single friend her entire life. And she finally makes a friend and she's begging her dad to like let her have this sleepover. And her dad just does not give a shit at all about her having friends. And it's like, oh my God, like let her have one friend. And he's like, well, just kill her.
She decides to not pursue that line of inquiry any further. And instead, she next asks that Rain be returned unhurt, not tortured. And she does a really bad job lying to Vincent. I'm sure Vincent sees through it, that she is, no, like super ready, definitely 100% going to kill him in his sleep after the half moon trial.
Totally,
which just
right
needs
away.
him in good shape for the half moon trial.
Again, this is like, you know, she really needs her study partner back because like she really cares about the test and doing well and not because she wants to be in her bedroom with him with the door closed.
Anyway, Daddy agrees not to, quote, break him, which isn't the most inspiring.
No.
So having sort of struck out with Father, she decides to deal with the Misha problem another way. She goes to Neaxia's temple. Now, Neaxia's temple, I gather, is this iconic, like if you were reading The Lonely Planet of the Night Kingdom, this would be top, you know, you go see it, whatever.
Oh, gotcha. Yep. It's like, was it aliens? How did anybody build this? It's crazy.
Top attraction. Yeah. It becomes clear that Oriah is heading to meet with Minister, our creepy old vampire man, because she wants to make a deal that in exchange for sucking some of her blood,
gross,
he will, quote unquote, intervene with Neaxia to get Misha out of the competition. But it's this classic, you know, he runs the church. He's in charge. Like no one's actually asking Neaxia.
Right. I gotta say, I give her credit. This was the way to do it. She knows that it's not about her doing another blood oath to Neaxia or anything. She knows it's like this creepy political guy.
There's like a real politique understanding. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Rachel, Will and I really want to talk about something that's a spoiler right now. Do you want to take off your headphones and go away for 2 minutes?
Yeah, no, you should do it. I'm going to excuse myself.
Okay, so my second read in this section was quite revelatory.
Okay, do tell.
Because, first of all, Minister greets her as Oriah, daughter of the Nightborn. Now, that might just be a greeting because she is the adopted daughter.
Right.
But we get some more little hints and clues here.
Okay.
So in making this deal, Oriah offers some of her, quote, human blood as an offering to make up for Misha's original blood oath. When she says human, Minister laughs at her.
I totally missed that.
Yeah. And I mean, like it could just be this is a creepy old dude. But then she extends out her wrist and he says, quote, this is far better. And it became clear to me that this is an allusion to the end of the book when we realize that Oriah seems to be the half vampire, half human child of Vincent.
Right.
It's subtle.
Yeah,
it's like
subtle.
A reread pickup. Maybe not our first time read pickup. Okay, should we bring
good job, Carissa.
Rachel back in?
Yeah, we're waving if you can't see us.
Wow.
Welcome back.
You guys look like you were having a lot of fun, I have to say.
Yeah, well.
It was really fun.
I'm feeling some FOMO.
Finish the fucking book and then you can listen to it.
I know, but now I'm doing the thing that I actually do a lot with books where the next one hasn't come out yet, where I just read 90% and then I don't finish it because I don't want to have that horrible thing where you finish it and then the book's not out yet. I might just keep doing that. We'll see. It might not be possible, but.
Okay.
What? It's still fun.
No, it's good. It's good. Oriah wakes up. She notices Rain is just the back of his shirt is soaked through with blood, which is from the torture that her father's henchmen did to him. So Oriah goes to get some of Misha's medical supplies to begin stitching him up. Rain needs a distraction, so this offers another nice opportunity for them to learn more about each other. First, Oriah, I guess, not the most, her bedside manner is maybe not the best, because the first question she asks him is, what did the torturers want from you? Which, like, post-torture is maybe not.
Okay, she grew up locked in a room in a castle. You know, she's trying to figure out how to socially interact with people.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I don't know if the American Medical Association, if this would be their recommendation. She informs him that Minister let Misha withdraw and tries to play it off nobly. Like, the Minister just had a change of heart, but she's a bad liar. And so he immediately clocks that it was her. Oriah tries to ask Rain about his own turning, and he quickly rebuffs, as he is wont to do.
Mm-hmm.
She also notices a triangle-shaped scar that trails all the way down his back that predates the trauma from the torture. She also asks about this, but, you're done stitching me. I don't need to answer questions anymore. I don't need to be distracted.
Wait, Rachel, can you take off your headphones for literally 2 seconds? Okay, thank you. Okay, here's the thing. So this like triangle thing,
yeah,
we learn later. I'm going to give a spoiler, so noting that now, that this is his air mark that he like burned off of him.
Mm-hmm.
He was just being tortured by the rivals
I know.
who know what air marks look like.
And they didn't. Yeah, they were like,
they were
what's
like
this weird
lashing his back?
You like burned off the part of your body where an air mark would be. Also, they're like inherently suspicious he's a Rishan rebel.
Right. And the scar is like in this like weird shape of not, you know, a knife wound. It's like a hole.
I do feel like it's always hard to find talent, you know?
Yeah.
So like maybe this is more just a kind of Vincent's goons are not really perceptive enough.
Right. They're not playing chess here. They're playing torture checkers.
Yeah. And Jessamine is probably walking, like overseeing many tortures. And so understandably missed it.
Fair. You know, this is why attention to detail is so important.
Okay, Rach, you want to come back in? Rain does the noble thing and offers to let her out of their agreement to be partners for the Half Moon trial, which is imminent, because he is very injured still. But obviously we sort of know where this is going sexually. So she's not interested at all. And shortly thereafter, Misha, who's gotten permission to leave, is taken away.
And Rain he says he takes her to friends or something.
Yeah, he has some friends that will take her. Which brings us to the long-awaited Half Moon trial. In some senses has been the marquee event of the entire death competition. A reminder that it is called the Half Moon, both because it is halfway, but also that only half of the competitors are allowed to survive.
Right.
Again, we're not going to belabor the action. Read the book if you want to know the action. Just read it. Rain and Oriah are summoned into the Great Hall of the Moon Palace. It seems like a number of people have been forced into pairings of necessity. Angelica, our queen girl boss, is with another blood-born magic user named Ivan. Sweet summer child Ibrahim has found a shadowborn boy. I can only hope they are making love.
Me too.
They hand out these silver goblets to each team, and then boom. So they are transported. Oriah comes to with Rain speaking in her head, and it turns out that the potion they had drank has somehow connected them.
So fun. I love this.
Yeah. You know, obviously we're having trust issues with Rain. And so it's like, if you can see inside his head and see that he genuinely cares about you. So it's kind of like, oh, like he's not totally faking it.
It's also super intimate.
Right.
It's giving us that kind of like mating bond, like head to head speaking that is like so cute and so covert. And like, yes, they're like maybe about to die. So it's less cute at the moment, but it is definitely bringing them closer emotionally.
Well, and he in fact immediately says to Oriah, "Are you always this tense?" Which is like, you know, maybe give it a moment. But then it turns out she can sense his own anxiety. So they're relatable.
So cute.
So once they sort of sort out whose perception is whose, they find themselves in separate cells. So she opens the door and it opens onto a scene of, quote, carnage. There's blood everywhere, monsters everywhere, demons and hellhounds and big cats. Oh my. So it turns out that the Colosseum has been divided by a big wall of white stone. And there's a ramp on each side that leads up to a pair of gates. Apparently, only one of them is safe. No doubt one would lead to freedom and one to damnation, according to Oriah.
Who, again, extremely perceptive under pressure.
Yeah. But first, you have to make your way there through this melee. It seems like some of the partners who didn't bond over murder are having trouble with the mind meld. Not our intrepid lovebirds. They're so well oiled. They know each other. They figured it out. Each pair not only can see and sort of like visual and auditory, sensory, whatevers of the other person, but you feel pain too. And so when your partner is hit with a sword, you feel the pain in your own leg. Angelica cuts Rain in the back. Araya feels the pain. And so Araya finds Ivan, Angelica's partner, and sees that he is sort of already wounded and bleeding. So she attacks him, strikes him down, and falls on top of him right as the first two competitors get up to the gates. And the first one gets there and is contemplating, I think, her choice about which of the two gates to guess goes the right one. And the second competitor walks up behind her and just shoves her through one, which turns out to be the wrong gate. But I guess like it's a wrong gate that only one person falls for, because then there's this like blinding light and presumably the poor woman vamp was destroyed. And this distracts Araya, who misses Ivan stabbing her with a dagger and then throwing her to the mass of demons and beasts in the middle of the Colosseum. Rain, in his mind, tells her to use magic, but nothing is coming. But then he tells her that the key is fear. And at first, she still struggles. But then she starts to think of scary things or people being afraid. So she thinks of her experience with her ex-lover. She thinks of her parents. And then that fear transforms into rage, and that rage transforms into Nightfire. She blacks out, basically, but kills everyone around her, makes her way all the way to the top of the wall, where she meets Rain, who looks at her, quote, like she's a fucking goddess.
Hot.
And then they walk through the gate together, and it's possible Rain is crying. I guess tears of joy.
I love when the key to accepting your powers is allowing yourself to feel emotion.
Yeah, one of the goods that can come from it is a kind of like demonic black fire that eats flesh and consumes it ravenously. And I think that about wraps up this episode. Obviously, the big next question is that Rain and Araya have been kicking the can down the road on what their relationship will be post Half Moon trial. And now they're going to have to be confronted with that question.
And of course, they're both going to be like, oh, well, now I have to kill the other one. But, have just shared a mental bond. They've shared some physical, breathing on each other's necks. They've saved each other in times outside of the trials. What could possibly happen next? I, for one, am so excited.
Me too. Me too. Me too. Hashtag me too. Okay, wait.
Say that.
That's actually really...
No, that's going to get us fucking canceled.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay. No, I'm not. Okay. Wait. Okay. All right. Okay. And with that, I think we're going to have to bid you farewell. Bid you all farewell.
And a fond night.
And a fond eve or morn. Who can say? Before we go, just want to say, send us an email. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at FeyWatchPod. Feel free to subscribe to the pod. Give us a 5-star rating if you feel it in your heart.
Share with a friend or multiple friends or anyone, really.
Anybody. Just share it with anybody.
An uncle, a cousin. Options abound.
Exactly. And we appreciate it so much. And we'll catch you next time.